we're talking about condo developments in Rhode Island and how to get them certified. This is a huge topic, okay? Especially if you're thinking about listing your condo for sale, or if you are a listing or a selling agent. You want to know about this stuff, about these tools that you can have in your toolbox, as Matt Bates has put in the last segment. I like that analogy. So Sam, can you please share with us a little bit of the process of getting a condo development certified or recertified?
Sure. We deal a lot with FHA, VA, and Fannie Mae.
Federal Housing Administration, right?
Right, the Federal Housing.
And also Veterans Administration. Yeah, okay.
And Fannie and Freddie. Mm-hmm. The docs that are required for VA and FHA are about the same. We need to review all the legal docs. We need to review the budget, the insurance. Mm-hmm. And we submit it to FHA and VA for review. The docs are pretty much the same for both of those agencies. Mm-hmm. What's interesting to note is the VA and FHA do not charge a dime for review. Okay, a lot of companies will go out there, they'll charge exorbitant fees to submit a project to the agency for review, but neither VA or FHA charge a dime. Mm-hmm. And our company will do that for you at absolutely no cost. When we submit a project to VA, it goes on their list forever. We mm-hmm. never have to worry about recertification. But with FHA, we have to recertify them every 2 years. That's why I said earlier, there's only 71 projects currently approved, but there's 431 projects that were reviewed, mm-hmm. that were approved, that lost their expiration. So what we're going to do is work with you guys to get these projects recertified through HUD at absolutely no cost.
Wow.
And FHA has actually made our job easier. Late last year, they actually announced a way for us to get projects recertified in less than 2 weeks. As long as there's been no new recorded documents, all they want from us is a copy of their current budget, mm-hmm. their current insurance policy, and an updated questionnaire. Okay. My team will gather all that. We pay for any fees associated with that, and we submit it on your behalf. They're giving us 2-week turnarounds, and once we get those projects recertified, they're good for another 2 years.
Well, that's great. So now I'm sure our listeners and some realtors out there may have the same question that I do. I mean, what are some of the reasons why, obviously we know it expires after 2 years with FHA and they have to recertify it, but what would some issues be that would make a condo non-warrantable, not something that you can't finance on? Can you share maybe some of that?
Sure. Non-warrantable definition differs from FHA, VA, and conventional.
Okay.
FHA, we need to make sure that there's no pending litigation that involves safety or habitability issues. There's no environmental mm-hmm. issues. And primary concern is that there's less than 50% investors in that project and less than 50% FHA saturation. Mm-hmm. So what could have happened in the past is FHA could have lost their certification because of the way the market went into a downturn, and more investors jumped into the market and acquired investor units in those projects.
Landlords. Landlords.
Exactly. And that would create an issue for getting the project recertified.
Now, why is that? Not to interrupt you.
Well, that's because there's opportunity and people go ahead and sell. And most associations don't limit the amount of renters in a project according to their legal docs. So
now, why wouldn't a bank want to lend if there is a larger amount of renters versus homeowners?
Well, banks do. We're talking about FHA here. Mm-hmm. Fannie and Freddie do not care how many investors are in a project. As a matter of fact, a lot of lenders will have an overlay that will prevent that. Mm-hmm. We don't. Fannie and Freddie actually encourage lending in projects with high investor concentration so we can dilute the investor concentration, make it more sellable. We can get a project approved with 50, 60, 70, 80, even 100% investor.
Wow.
Fannie Mae will still do 3% down conventional financing if you're a first-time home buyer, 5% if you're not a first-time home buyer buying a principal residence, 10% down if you're buying a vacation home. Once that will help us dilute the investor concentration. Mm-hmm. Once we get that concentration down to 50% or less, then we can go back in for the agency financing for FHA and get it recertified for you.
Wow, that's
insane because I just came from a situation where the condo was non-warrantable, and it was because of investor. It was an investor owned, I want to say 75% of the condo.
One investor.
Wow. And my previous mortgage company, not that they were, all good things to say about them, but they weren't able to finance the loan, and I had to see it go away, and it would cause a lot of stress and anxiety. It ended up closing, and she got the place, but it would have been nice to close in my name.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why we have these pre-approval programs. We want to find out if there's any issues up front.
Mm-hmm.
If there is, we want to identify it so that way when you're marketing it for sale, you know what the potential issues are.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to tell you right up front, is that project warrantable? Is it eligible for FHA, VA, conventional financing? If it's not, we're going to let you know as well. There's many instances where we may have a good project, but we may have a one-off.
Mm-hmm.
We may have over 25% commercial space. We may have a budget with less than 10% reserves.
Mm-hmm.
We may have a single entity that owns more than 10%. If we have a good project and we have good buyers, in many cases we can go to Fannie and get a waiver done. Okay, it's loan specific, but we put in for dozens of waivers a month, and we're able to get those done. A lot of lenders won't go that extra mile, but we will. So that's something to consider as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, figure if you guys are doing, $500 million in condos a year, I mean, you've got to be doing something right. And this is clearly why. The fact that you can go in beforehand and get this done. And again, I'm pretty blown away as a listing agent because now I know that we have the ability to sell these properties faster, maybe even at a higher price. Just because, for the sellers now I'm talking, just because, when a property sits on the market and comes off the market and then things change and this and that, and a lot of times because of financing it couldn't go through, buyers look at that as there's a problem with the property and the misconception of that. And if a realtor doesn't know how to relay that to the buyer's agent and to the buyer, then the price, the actual offer could come down lower. There's so much psychology behind, selling real estate and actually doing the transaction. So,
Sam, is it possible to, if for a listing agent like Emilio or whoever else is out there that's interested in working with Movement Mortgage, can they submit a condo association or a complex or a project for get approved on all of them at once? So VA and just do a whole. So
yes,
Wow.
By all means, and we encourage that. Our company is committed to be the number one condo lender in each and every one of our markets, and they're committed to doing this by not only creating our infrastructure, our team, but also to go out and get these projects approved for you up front, even before you have a buyer.
Well, in all of those instances, VA, veterans, FHA, that's your 3.5%, Fannie Mae, which is 3, 5, 10%. That's pretty great.
From the listing side, if a real estate team out there wanted to submit a condo association before a listing, they could market that in an MLS. They'd be able to say approved for VA, FHA, Fannie and Freddie. That way the buyers know they're not going to have any problem with the financing.
And I mean, agents out there listening, if condos are a big target market for you, my suggestion would be to just pick a couple condo associations that don't have a lot of activity right now because, turnover happens. Start working on those with Movement Mortgage. Get in the door with these guys, start that process, and then market to the seller, to the owners over there. Send them postcards, knock on the door, do whatever you can. I mean, no one is doing that. And actually, I totally just gave away my idea because I was going to do that. But but no, there's so much business out there for everybody. And, there's about 5,000 realtors in the state. And we have a lot of phenomenal real estate agents here. And I'm lucky to be doing business here in Rhode Island and in southeastern Massachusetts with them. So great points, guys. Thank you so much. Is there any kind of final words that you'd like to have in regards to this? Or
Well, we talked about two processes. We talked about what we can do for listing agents, which is so critical because as inventory gets short, we're starting to see multiple offer scenarios in many of our markets. So we want to make sure that when you're a listing agent considering an offer that the buyer lender can not only get them approved, but they can approve the project. And
Absolutely.
we want to have it approved up front. And we'll provide a letter not only for the borrower that the borrower is approved, but that we have the project approved on our internal list. So we do that for you. But we also have a process for selling agents. Because if you're working with a potential buyer, they know that they want to buy a condo, and they're looking at 2 or 3 different projects, odds are it's not going to be conventionally approved. There's only one conventionally approved project on Fannie Mae's list right now. Freddie Mac doesn't even have a list.
Wow.
So we want to help them as well. So if they're working with a buyer, that buyer is interested in 2, 3, or 4 different projects, they haven't made up their mind, let our guys know the names of the projects, the address, and a point of contact, and we'll start working on that process for you as well.
That's really great. Thank you so much.
After this radio show, I'm super excited because I have a condo pre-approval buyer meeting today at 2:30. So
Do you? Yeah.
I'm excited to put Sam to work and his team.
Yeah, nice.
One last thing.
Yes.
This year, we've opened up actual renovation loans for condos.
Really?
So, yeah. So if you have somebody that is looking to buy a condo and they like the condo, but they'd like to put in a new kitchen, a new bathroom, new bedroom, interior work, we now offer Fannie Mae home-style renovation loans for condos.
Well, that's really great. So how much can you actually add on top of your mortgage? Like a 203K reno loan, you could do $35,000 in a streamline, right? So is that kind of how this works as well?
Similar, except we go based upon the after improved value. So if you have a condo, maybe that's been an investment unit and it's crashed and they want to do a complete interior renovation on that, we can do that. And we can do that for owner-occupied vacation and investment units.
That's great. That's really, really good. Thank you guys so much. Love having you on the show. Sam, please come back in town anytime you'd like. We'd love to have you back on the show.